Hey, everybody, welcome to the Lockdown Sessions presented to you by Wrestling Travel and our good friends over at Wrestle Merch Central over there in London. That is Europe's biggest hotspot for all things professional wrestling. And speaking of hotspots, somewhere, we don't know where, but I've got Icon Lee in a hotspot right now. Look at the fog rolling in. Welcome to the program, sir.
It's an honor. And the location right now is my domain.
Like I said, it's a hotspot. It looks fantastic. So we're so happy. The behind the scenes of this is we've tried to connect for a little bit now, and finally it's just an honor to have you on, and we're going to talk wrestling. We're gonna tear it up. We're gonna dive deep into Icon Lee. So I want to start at the beginning. The beginning is always a good place to start. So how long, you got to remember, we're talking to people all over the world here. We're based in the UK. So don't get offended if nobody knows. But how long have you been in the business?
So I started training in 2017. And I am based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. So I started training at a facility called Bone Crushers. It's a training gym, a wrestling training gym owned by Roger Ruffin, who was once a referee for the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation at that time. And I started in 17, took my first bump. I didn't have anything. I had an idea. I had a plan, obviously. I had a long-term plan for the sheep that followed. But I didn't have an idea of what I was going to be doing when I started training. So that's the year that I started training. Now, I didn't initially start getting bookings until about a year after training, because you just don't get in the ring and know how to, professional wrestle. You got to go train and work your ass off before they finally give you a booking. And that's what I did. So 2018 was when I first stepped into the ring, and a lot changed between that year. So when I finally got into the ring, I was ready.
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes a while to develop that craft, and it's always gonna develop until you're done. What got you when you're a young icon? Are you watching? Well, when you're an even younger icon. I don't know what before you get into the business. Who are you watching on TV? Who catches your eye? Who are some of the guys that you're watching?
Like around 2008, you see, I didn't start watching wrestling until about 2008. It wasn't introduced to me. It kind of just like the universe brought it to me. No one showed me. I was downstairs at my home and I was watching TV, and it was like a pay-per-view commercial, and it was. And so the very first match I saw was The Undertaker versus Batista at Hell in a Cell when Edge returned. And after that, and they announced Monday Night Raw the next night, I was like, "Oh, what is this?" So as a young icon, I was already intrigued just by seeing The Undertaker. I had never seen anything like that before on my television screen, and from that moment, I was hooked into the business. And so that he really had a big impact on my childhood as far as who I looked up to as in the professional wrestling world.
And little behind the scenes information, we're recording it today is his birthday.
Yeah, I just saw that. I did see that. Happy birthday to The Undertaker, right? Mark Calloway.
Watching, or we'll catch this when we throw this out. So you talk about my situation when I went to. So you watched wrestling since 2008. When you first get into that ring, your first day of training, for me, it was like my world just opened up. Like I just saw everything in a different way. Was that the same way for you after you get done with your your first day of training, and now when you go back and watch wrestling, your eyes are opened? I don't know. A lot of people have that same experience that I'm talking about.
I had an adrenaline rush the very first day. You've never done it, and it's very painful. That's all that's running through your head, is that it's a very painful sport, what we do. So when I first got in the ring, I felt like, okay, I'm here. I've got to this part of my dream, my journey. Now, what's the next step? And then once I took my first bump on the mat, and then I hit the ropes, and I started learning how to roll. And at first, I wasn't good at rolling. You're not used to doing certain things that they train you over time to do. And so once I finally did that, it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
and then,
started developing my persona and my image that I've become today, like almost that first day, because I already, like I said, I had a long-term vision of what I wanted to do. So, it was, I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
no, that's great to go in there with that mindset of the vision in the long term and having people believe in that along the way. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about now when you got in the ring, you started bumping and stuff, and now you go back and watch it on TV. For me, that was like, okay, now I can really pick a lot of things out that I couldn't, and I never really watched the same way.
So you're saying basically the things you did in the ring before you saw yourself on film, you could critique yourself a little better, right?
Yeah,
Like
or just the product in general. That first night I went home, uh, and they said go watch Monday Night Raw, and now I'm watching. I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
because it was a lot of mental stuff my first day, just kind of talking, and now I'm watching. I'm like, all right, man, I'm watching it in a different light, and I still watch it, and I try not to be that critical guy because that's easy to do, but I try to be
yeah.
like, okay,
Watch it as like as a viewer instead of critiquing all the time, because then if you're critiquing all the time, you're always going to find something that you're nitpicking instead of actually enjoying the product that particular wrestler is trying to give you at that moment, right?
100%. That's
Yeah.
what you don't want to get, that negative Nancy feeling. But the cool thing is some of the stuff now that when you kind of know a little bit of the inside, some stuff might just be like to the casual viewer, oh, that was nothing, and we're like, wow, that was actually pretty impressive, a lot of things. So it's a two-way street. So you kind of you get booked. Are you starting to? Where's your first booking at? You in the Cincinnati area?
So I don't know if you've heard of the Northern Wrestling Federation. They've had a lot of talent come out of that particular federation in school, such as Wildcat Chris Harris. Jillian Hall has been trained there. Moxley, he's trained there for a bit. He was at one of their particular flagship events, Fan Fest, briefly. So he ran through there. They have a lot of good, strong talent. So that's where I had my first match. I had my first match with Roger Ruffin's promotion, and I wrestled there for about a year, before I actually started venturing out. And then I went to West Virginia. That was like my first out-of-state booking next to Kentucky. And then after that, I went to Tennessee, and then I went to Chicago a bunch of times, and then I'm down to Texas. So it's definitely starting to pick up. I would say social media has helped me a lot to get my image out, because I don't think without it, I don't think the particular early bookings, it would have anyone would have noticed me as much as if I didn't combine those bookings with my social media to make my image and my liking, out there for people to see, the sheep to follow.
It's such a balance, isn't it?
Yeah,
Of your
it
actually
is.
working.
And a lot of people don't teach that. See, they didn't teach me that in school. They don't teach, you have to be on the social media and you have to always grind in the gym and have a certain image, because those things are very important. And a lot of people, they don't understand that. They're missing that. So I
What
try
I
to stay
find,
ahead of the game.
yeah, what I find really, because obviously I'm in the US, but the company I work for is the UK, is Twitter is in the Europe and the United Kingdom is huge compared to what it is here. Because I find a lot of wrestlers I talk to that they're like, I don't have a Twitter handle, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You got to jump on there.
And I don't have the strongest Twitter, but like I said, I make sure that I hit up Wrestling with Unicorns. I hit up a lot of what's the word? The word what do you guys call it? Influencers. I hit up a lot of influencers to help get my brand out, because it's hard to grow followers naturally on Twitter. It's not as easy as maybe Facebook or Instagram even, or TikTok. Twitter, you have to actually be focused and dedicated to it, or else you're not gonna get anywhere on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, influencers is I'm hopefully we're an influencer somewhere, but yeah,
Yeah. I try to. I mean, everyone should try to help everyone. No matter what. Like you said in the beginning, that's what it's about.
that's the goal. Yeah, and then we talked off camera, and that's I'm
Yeah.
lucky to be able to use my position with this company. I get accused sometimes of, oh, you got this guy a booking. No, I never get anybody a booking. I
Yeah.
introduce person A to person B, and it's
Yeah.
up to that guy to get that booking. I just go, hey.
And once you introduce yourself and you're respectful to, whichever said promoter, I mean, it's easy. It's not hard. You just got to get out there and travel and move around and put your brand and your image out there so that other people can see you.
100%. And I always say it's cliche, but perception is reality, especially in this business.
Yeah.
So you gotta put yourself out there, and you got to be willing to, because people can tell fake, you can tell real, you can tell fake. You got to believe in your brand, you got to believe in what you're doing, and you go out and do it, and you sell yourself.
I try.
And you hustle, and you do, because you're a name that I've wanted to get on. I did watch you in Chicago on I believe it was September 19th.
I was a little different then, right? I catered to the sheep a little bit more than I do now.
Yeah. No, it is different, and it's a tough place. Warrior Wrestling has established itself, especially last summer, as kind of the independent promotion. Like they ran with a crowd for the first time in North America, largest crowd. They did their Friday Night Light. You were involved, and I'm trying to think, and I'm going to apologize to you. I had a phone call happen right before we got on, but you were in like a 6-man, like a scramble type of match. Right.
With a couple false heroes that pissed me off, especially that Beast Man. I don't like him very much.
I was gonna say, dude, that was his kind of coming out moment, I think.
When he slammed me in the middle of the mat, I didn't like that. Very painful.
Have you met up with Beastman since? Have you had a rematch or a one-on-one?
I've ran into him, down in Texas. He was at the bar. I ran into him. I didn't say anything to him. I just kind of stared at him, but he knows the vibes.
That's one I'd like to see.
If Warrior wants me to step into the ring with the Beast Man, I have plenty of beasts within my domain that I've conquered, and I'm willing to put that beast down in the ground. That's all I got to say about him.
That would be great, because I'm saying, based on that match, and I know Warrior has just announced some dates for the summer, so I'm hoping that I get a chance to go down to Chicago, see you wrestle, see Beastman, but it'd be awesome to see that matchup right there.
I'll just stay out of his way. You got to let him troll around the ring and hit him in the legs. You always knock a big guy down by their legs and they will fall. You got to be smart when you're my size. I'm muscular and strong, but a guy that size, you just got to play it a little smarter.
Now, when you're in the ring with him that day, I mean, I don't know how much you heard about him prior to that, but for a big dude, he moves around pretty nimble for a big dude, isn't he?
Yeah. That's what I said. You just got to let him move around, distract him a bit, and chop him down by his legs.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that.
I didn't get pinned by him, so I'm not that worried. He's never pinned me.
I mean, I would love to see that matchup.
Yeah.
I would love to see that matchup. The Neon Ninja was in that match too, Facade. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is that a guy that you've
him and that girl always doing their little tag prancing around?
It is. Have you gotten a chance to wrestle him one-on-one?
I have not.
That would be another good matchup. Dude could move around.
I'll tell you one, I do want to wrestle Chandler Hopkins. I stepped in the ring with him at Warrior as well during a 3-man tag team, 3-on-3. So I want to have a match with him. I believe I pinned his ass in that match. So I mentioned him yesterday on the other podcast, because I ran into him in Texas as well. There's a lot of guys that they go from Texas to Chicago that I see, and I do believe I pinned him. So I'd like a one-on-one match too.
Young Gun Chandler Hopkins versus. There's a lot of great matchups in your young career. Is there any? How do I say this? Because I know Icon Lee from watching. I know that you'll step in the ring with anybody, and I know there's.
I'll call them out. I don't care if you're on television. I don't care if you're at the bottom or if you're at the top. If you're in my domain and you're in my way, you best believe I'll call your ass out.
So you got a match coming up April 3rd. And
I have a match coming up this Saturday.
This Saturday. Who do you have this Saturday, and where are you at?
And I'll be returning home to the Northern Wrestling Federation where I started at in 2017. And it's going to be a 5 versus 5 tag team match. And they actually have a Future Stars division. So I'm kind of looked at as the original of that division, because it started up in around 2018. And I'm actually going to be, hopefully, I would say, the leader of my team. There's actually another guy that was in the scramble at Palais Pro, Shady Frank. He's actually from the same promotion as me. So I've been having a little toss of words with him about who's the true leader of the team. But I'll be hopefully dismantling the opposition and proving why I am the icon of Kentucky and anywhere that I go.
Absolutely. Now, being the icon, I would imagine. I mean, is it tough to have to go into a 5-on-5 tag team match where you're relying on other people?
The guys that I'm relying on are pretty good. They train all the time. They're always in the ring honing their craft. So I shouldn't have any worries. I should have no worries at all when it comes to reliance. But, you always have to be vigilant. I'm not going to obviously be the first person to go first. I don't know if you're a movie guru or a comic book guru, but Magneto once said that's why the pawns go first. I'm not going to be the one, starting the match. I'll let them do the dirty work and I'll come in and pick up the scraps, hopefully give them the victory. But that's my mission and my plan as far as this Saturday is concerned.
It's a great quote to use for wrestling. Okay, then coming up, before I talk to you about April 3rd and beyond, we're called the lockdown sessions for a reason. Obviously, we've been in it's March now. From March of 2020 to March of 2021, it's been an unprecedented time in the world, but in the business. But how long had you gone once the pandemic hit? Almost right around this time last year, when I was just talking about this the other day. It was black like night outside because there was no sports whatsoever. But how long? What was your longest period that you went without wrestling?
Well, I was kicking Brian Pillman Jr.'s ass during this time last year. I kind of invaded his home, and I was going to take the Warrior Championship, but he actually showed up right when I was there. So I tried to do a little bit of stuff, for my sheep that follow, let them continue to follow me and the things that I do. I actually didn't have a match during all that time. I do believe that's when Warriors started kicking up in the summer. So I did do that. I got called out to do that. But that was like September and August. So, March, I really didn't do much. I cut promos because I'm the promo king. So I allowed the sheep to know what was on my mind at that time. And like I said, I had an altercation with Pillman Jr. But I was just promoting my brand, trying to keep building and staying on top of that.
What was that like your first time back in the ring? It just had to be awesome, right?
It was. And I was honored that it was with Fight TV as well. So it was like, I was wrestling, but I was also wrestling for the people there and people at home. So, people could see me. It felt good. It felt really good, especially being outside.
Being outside and in front of the crowd. I mean, the way Warrior Wrestling laid that out, with, the cone set out and close to 500 fans, if not 500. But I thought the fans there were really respectful. They were told they could take the mask off once they got to their area. I saw a lot of people just kept their masks on, kept being very respectful to each other and to the talent. They had all the safety measures and really kind of had the blueprint. From there, I know AEW started bringing fans in, but that was an exciting, even for me, I bought a ticket as a fan, covered it for Wrestling Travel, but just be able to sit in that crowd and finally watch live pro wrestling. And now I'm in Wisconsin. I had seen live pro wrestling because we were able to do it from June, but to be able to see it on that scale with that number of fans being on Fight TV, even though it was an outdoor stadium, there was an energy that you could feel there. Oh yeah, it's always an energy at Warrior. I love them. Even when I first debuted for them at Warrior Wrestling 8 and it was inside the gym, it was a good atmosphere. I loved it. I think Warrior Wrestling. I've been at a few of them. They're a drive for us, but yeah, just discovering that they're a great promotion. And now Brian Pillman Jr., of course, obviously. I like to call him Obi-Wan Jr. because he's had a lot of influence on my young career, but I'm not Anakin, so I'm Palpatine. But I do give him his credit, and I like to call him Obi-Wan. If you could tell, I'm a very big movie fan. I like movies. So what would be your favorite movie if you had to pull out of the air right now? Give me your favorite movie. Top
I
five.
like I like the Harry Potter series. I just recently rewatched the Godfather series. I like that as well. Um, I like the Saw. I like Saw series. I like a lot of series, I guess, right? I like DC. I like Marvel. I like a lot of superheroes. I like the Hannibal Lecter. I like him. He's good. Clarice. I get a lot of inspirations from those guys, you know.
Now, have you sat down for 4 hours and 2 minutes and watched the Snyder cut of Justice League yet?
I have. I'm a big
Very good.
fan of Dark Side.
Dark
That's
Side,
the
Dark
name.
Side,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very big
Uh,
fan of him. I'm glad that he was introduced at the end. I hope they go through with having a part two and they continue the series. I've seen a lot of stuff online where they're saying that that's it and they're not going to do it, but hopefully they do because I definitely want to see the continuation of true hero Dark Side.
yeah, I have yet to sit down on it. Now, pro wrestling has been in some movies. Have you watched like Mickey Rourke's The Wrestler?
I have when I
Um,
was younger, much younger though.
and I always feel like there's something missing there could be almost a Rocky type series or something with pro wrestling.
There's the
I think
Glow. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that. That was on Netflix at a time.
what was it?
Glow.
Oh, Glow, yeah.
Yeah, that
But
was
I
cool.
don't know. I just feel like there could be a grittier, almost like
Yeah.
the wrestler type story being told. And I love watching Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Um, I love finding out about stuff, but I want to. We talked off air about the positivity that we get from pro wrestling too. It's not just there's a lot of dark sides of the ring, but there's a lot of positivity too.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
always feel like there could be a bigger wrestling story told, fictionally that would really bring it to the forefront. And I
Yeah.
just
I understand. I definitely agree with that as well. In time, anything can happen, right? Just gotta
right.
let time keep rolling.
I was hoping there was screenwriters and aspiring pro wrestlers sitting down writing it up maybe during this pandemic, and maybe we'll get something out of it
Yeah.
when it's still. So
Maybe WWE will produce it or something, right? Or maybe AEW will produce a film.
that would be great. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. I never want to say negative about stuff, but it's been uh, my wrestling viewing habits have really declined a little bit on the mainstream, especially the WWE without fans. And I don't know,
Yeah.
uh, that's not a knock on it because it's out of their
Hmm.
control, but there's something to say for wrestling without fans. I don't know how you are.
It's the emotion.
Yeah.
It's the emotion. I mean, they do a good job with the sound, pumping the sound into the arena and everything. They've gotten really creative. WWE has gotten really creative with, it's like almost like it's the video game. They imported the video game into the Thunderdome. So they've got it all where the chants and everything. I think that's pretty cool. I think that helps the wrestlers a lot stay focused. But it's definitely going to be for everyone over there. It's going to be something special when they allow full arena fans to come back in and actually be intrigued by the product.
It's going to be crazy. I said last year at Tampa Bay when Kevin Owens jumped off the stage that I'm like, man, people don't understand. If you got the fans' adrenaline pumping, I mean, then you go up and do crazy stuff. But he had no fans there to take that dive off that. I thought, man, I'm really impressed with him because I don't know, you just get that jacked up adrenaline.
Yeah.
Now, cinematic matches have not been my cup of tea, but they are something. But I'm looking at you right now, and I feel like you could do one hell of a cinematic match.
That would be amazing. That would be right up my alley, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, I can think of, I can name 5 guys off the top of my head that I'd like to see you do a cinematic match. Beast Man, obviously that would be
Yeah,
a
that
great
would be.
story.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know we walk the line
Warhorse.
between.
I've always wanted to have a match with Warhorse. I think that would be a great cinematic match, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is impressive.
Or just a
Uh,
brawl. I'd love to kick his ass.
I'm not sure which warrior it was, but Joey Janela and Warhorse was a hell of a match.
Yeah,
Uh,
that might have been the one before he faced Pillman. Perhaps, I'm not sure.
yeah, it might have been that first. first week out there because there was 3 weeks in a row, and then we
Yeah.
had the Friday Night Lights.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, walking the line between professional wrestling and cinematic. I mean, the thing with these cinematic matches, if they're telling a story, it's fantastic. Why this has got whoever's watching this right now, get Icon League. Let's get a cinematic match that's not on. It doesn't
Pure
have to be on.
genius. Pure
Yeah,
genius. Yeah.
It came to me. Well, yeah, War Horse. Joey Janela is another one that impressed the hell out of me during the Warrior series. People will. I get so sick. We do a podcast. We're on hiatus. I watch so many podcasts or see them, and it's 6 talking heads who have never taken a bump, just crapping on everything pro wrestling, and I hate it.
We call them peasants. Just call them peasants.
Peasants.
They're peasants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to we're going to come back with a new format where I want to have guests on, and I want to talk about the positive things going on in pro wrestling, because I got to tell you, you're stuck with no crowd and it's a pandemic. Coming up with new, fresh ideas, it's been tough, and they've been entertaining us. When I talked about that dark time when all sports were ended, our sport didn't end. We kept going.
It didn't. It did. And then there's a bunch of stuff that, you know, the sport was hit with during that time. We're not going to bring those things up, but it was a bunch of stuff and it survived. And I think that's a test to the resilience of the good people within the business to keep it going. And the fact that we live on that model of no off season, I think WWE helped install that into a lot of today's professional wrestlers. There's not really an off season. You know, you got to live it and chase your dream almost every day. You can't let your body fall off. You can't allow distractions, relationships, or any of that take a hold of your dream and your journey. So yeah, I think wrestling is here to stay for forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% convinced of the same thing. It's been there. It is. It's always going to be there, and it's going to morph. It's going to change. I always know I'm going to talk a little old school wrestling with you since I'm ancient compared to you. I go back and I watch a lot of film, a lot of stuff, but I'm not sure if you do. But you can go back to the 80s, the 70s, 90s. If you ever go back and watch some of the moves that you just don't see anymore on TV, I always feel like
interrupt you.
Yeah,
you know,
please.
Roger Ruffin, my trainer, my coach, he's old school, and he always instills that into us, is that go back and watch old footage, because you're not going to learn anything from the stuff that they're doing now. You know, personally, I don't do the flips and any of that. I like to I'm a striker. I like to get to the point. I think if I blind you in your eyes, you know, you're blinded. I'm gonna hurt you just off that. You know, I think going back and looking at all the old wrestling moves, I think that's very wise to do, because you can pick, like you said, you can pick up things that they don't do today, because I don't know why, but they just don't do it today. And you can actually put it in your arsenal and apply it, you know, in today's matches. So that was a good point.
Yeah, you can apply it. And a lot of the fans, the younger fans that haven't gone back and watched that, what's old is all of a sudden new again.
New. Yeah. You're right.
I could name a bunch of moves that for whatever reason we don't see them anymore. I don't see a bulldog out of the corner anymore. I don't see a lot of atomic drops, abdominal. Although I did see Kylie Ray use an abdominal stretch at Warrior. Yes, shout out to Kylie coming back. So great.
Pokemon girl, eh? I call it Pokemon girl.
That's awesome. So I do see some of these moves coming back, but I do think, you know, somebody who's much more athletic than I am and much younger could probably get a whole gimmick out of, you know, taking a move set from some of the stuff. Do you go back and watch a lot of, obviously you do, but what's kind of your go-to if you want to watch something classic? Where do you go?
So when I watch classic stuff, because I started in 2008, it's normally new to me. It's always fresh. So yeah. Obviously I went back and I watched all the Undertaker's matches, you know, earlier on, and I still watch his matches. I like a lot of I like the Boogeyman. I like the Boogeyman because he doesn't, you know, he does a lot of old school moves, and his pacing and his style in the ring. You know, a lot of people don't bring up the wrestlers that I'm going to bring up. I don't, you know, because I'm different. Yeah. But I don't go all the way back. I like what's his name, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, great,
He's a
great
big
dude.
guy, and I'm a little guy, and I like big guy moves. And everyone's always telling me, you're a big guy, you can't do that, you can't do that. I can do whatever I want, as long as it makes sense in the ring. So, I like a lot of old school moves when I do watch them, and I try to put it in my arsenal. Like I do the leg drop, I do scoop slams, I would do the atomic drop. That's just boom right on their balls, and they're down. Yeah. So yeah.
I used to say the atomic drop. I'm like, nobody sold it like honky tonk, man. But then somebody
Yeah,
pointed out
I've heard that.
Rick Rude, and I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, you're right. I can picture Rick Rude taking that right now in my mind's
Yeah.
eye. So,
And one
um,
thing they don't teach is, as a wrestler, over time, you start to develop after you train a bit, you start to develop your own move set over time. And so you just put things together, and it's good to take stuff from old school wrestling and add it into that. So it's always good to do that.
yeah, I think what it does is it gives you that wow factor with the newer fans, and an old guy
Yeah.
like me is going, like I said, I can't remember anything from that match with Kylie Ray, but she used the abdominal stretch. I was like, that's awesome. And then didn't I think Drew McIntyre pinned Randy Orton with a backslide?
I do remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
That was
Ric
cool.
Flair Harley Race 1982 or whatever it was. I was
They had
like,
like a little struggle before he did it.
yeah, it was fantastic. And a lot of now, did you watch this match, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov, that got so much press?
I watched a lot of NXT about like 2 years ago, like right when I
Okay.
started training. So I saw Walter when he first came in. And then like there's just so much content that I haven't really been keeping up with the UK brand. Like I would watch Pete Dunne, all those guys, like the finger manipulation, all that stuff really was just that intrigued me, all that stuff. And they were using a lot of old school stuff over there in the UK brand. I like that. They don't use a lot of the stuff that American wrestlers use. They use they hit hard, and it's impactful and painful.
Brit style wrestling. But yeah, that match got a lot of press. And when I watched it back, I'm like, they're you know what they're doing is they went 18 minutes of telling a story and
Yeah.
using
I need to watch it.
psychology. Yeah, check it out. If it well, you probably can't check it out now because everything's I tried to watch Peacock this weekend.
Yeah.
And then I can't get access to WWE Network anymore, obviously, but I don't think it's uploaded to Peacock, but something to look out for. When this pandemic is all said and done, we're in the UK. We're out of Manchester, United Kingdom. In your young career, have you been able to wrestle outside of the country? Have you done Mexico, Canada?
I have not. I have not. I definitely have wanted to wrestle in Mexico. I've not been outside of the United States.
So that's my next question, which I'm going to get a resounding yes from that. Hopefully, when everything opens up, we can get you over to the
Yeah.
United Kingdom in front of the fans
Definitely
over there.
appreciate it, man. The more ring time I get, the better I become. I'm like a fine wine.
Absolutely.
At least I try to be. I try to live up to everything that I hype up myself to be, whether it's in the ring or, traveling to different places or, just grinding it out in the gym. I think the gym is very important. And I don't think without the gym, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I'm definitely willing to come out there and show the rest of the world my talent.
Absolutely. And I think with a young guy like you getting to go up north and wrestle, go Mexico, go overseas, Japan, United Kingdom, I think you're the type of guy that's
I'll take advantage of it for sure. And I'll promote the hell out of whatever they do for me. So
that's what I'm saying. You're like a guy who's, I don't say master of your craft, but always developing. I think a guy like you goes into that going not just going, hey, I get to wrestle overseas, but hey, this is a different style. I get to kind of pick some brains and check this out. And I think that'll be.
He's not a wrestler, but Lil Wayne, man, his work ethic has really, really inspired me. Since I was a kid, he's always been there. He's kind of like the Undertaker of the rap game. So, his dedication. And when I hear him talk about, it's persistent, consistent, and just all that stuff, I apply that to my wrestling career. And that's why I'm always trying to be creative. And I'm inspired by that guy a lot. So that if that helps, paint a picture of how I feel about wrestling, my dedication, that's a good person to compare it with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The guy's always hustling, and he's a Green Bay Packer fan. So in my mind, he's right up there on the top. So yeah, we got to get your passport ready. and
Yeah,
get you ready.
I do have a passport. I have I've had it since I was a kid because I did go to Jamaica. I traveled to Jamaica. I did a
Yeah.
cruise, so I have a passport. It doesn't expire to 2024, but I do believe it's the one where you can only go to Mexico or Canada. So I guess that's perfect for a little bit, right?
For a little bit, yeah, get up
Yeah,
there in Canada.
yeah,
Lot of 2019, we did the trip to SummerSlam, and obviously anywhere the WWE has a big event, a lot of the indie promotions will gather. And wow, a lot of wrestling going up in Ontario, Toronto, Montreal.
yeah.
That was a hotbed. I talked to a couple of wrestlers up there. Sebastian Swab from Smash Wrestling, he's running that, and Tyson Dukes is up there, and they said it's almost too much. There's almost so much. It never is too much because it's all pro wrestling,
Yeah,
but there's just a lot going on, a lot of talent up there.
yeah.
So I think
So much talent all over.
all over. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And like we started off saying, talent helping talent, promotions helping promotions. That's what wrestling travel is all about. That's what Icon Lee is all about.
yes,
Is
sir.
being that. If I'm up here and I can reach my hand out and pull somebody up to my level, or
Yeah,
watch them go above, I know that hand's definitely that we help each other kind of
yes,
climb the
sir.
ladder. And that's but there still is with anything. I run into some carny promoters and some bad guys in the business, but I don't think that it's any more than I would in any other quote
Yeah, I
unquote
guess any.
normal
Yeah, yes, sir.
business. You always got to watch your back. My big thing is I've been too trusting, and you try to help people out, and they'll step on your face to climb that next rung of the ladder, which is
See, yeah,
which
no. I'm inspired by the people that don't think that way. So I would be a fool to ever, do that. That would be horrible. To
yeah.
do that to anybody. I don't agree with people that do that at all. It's not right. And they shouldn't be allowed to even be in the business. You can't just step over people and forget about people or the people that helped you. To this day, I still mention people that helped me since 2017. And that's just out of respect. And I plan on doing that for the rest of my career. So
100%. And sometimes
yeah,
somebody might be in the ring only in the business for a year or two, but they might say something and just put a little different spin on that word, and that might click, and you're going, oh, this is a cool concept. This is great.
yeah,
I did, because I think we go through our training, and then I think there are little gaps to fill along the way. And I don't
yeah,
think it's any trainer's fault. It's just sometimes, when I've been teaching other sports, it's like, you know what? I didn't mention that because in my head, I just assume everybody knows that. And there's little gaps to fill. So are you a big fan of hitting up a seminar if you're on a show and they bring a legend in
oh,
doing a seminar?
yeah. I've been in a seminar before. Larry Jones, he hosts a lot of seminars. So I've been to one. I've been to another one for the NWF. It was many years, about 2018 when I did it. So I've been to two seminars, but if anyone has a seminar, I'm definitely willing to go and learn. And I'm always down to get in the ring and train. I don't train as much as I did, because I would train religiously from about 2017, obviously, until about 2020, like the pandemic. Like every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd go to school, and after time, you kind of can't do that because you mess your body up. That's the reality of it. So I definitely try to train, as much as I can when I get in the ring, and stay in there in the ring as long as I can. But I'm really focused on bookings and just growing my brand at the same time too. I
Are
was
we
training
get?
in the gym though.
Yeah. Did the gyms close down for you during the
Yeah,
pandemic?
they did, but then they opened up, and then I also worked out at home. On my Instagram, I always would post workout footages for the sheep that I have that follow me. Workout footage of me training at home. I never slipped, and I can do 200 push-ups in less than 5 minutes. So I'm never gonna not be able to do anything.
That's
So
awesome.
that was the test. I think that was the test. A lot of people fell off. They were like, "Oh, no gym. I gotta procrastinate." And that wasn't the case for your icon, not at all.
No, that wasn't the case for you. And I got to say, when I first saw Brian Pillman on August 7th, I was like, that dude didn't take a day off, man, of
Yeah,
the gym.
no, Brian, I would always encourage him to come to the gym with me. I didn't live far from him. Of course, now we both moved, and he's in Florida, and I'm more in Kentucky. So But yeah, I would train with him, periodically. I'd go, and then when it opened up, he had a membership at Crunch Fitness. I'd go up there, work out with him, and I had my own personal private gym, which you'll see again when I release the footage of me kicking his ass on the 26th this month. I'll be re-releasing it so people can see who didn't see. It's on his Instagram as well. But yeah, always in the gym. If they're closed, you work out at home. No excuse.
Backing up on seminars, and I know we're not that far away from an Icon Lee seminar coming down the road, because I feel like you would be a guy that's like, hey, I'm ready to give back.
I'd give you a lot of tips: social media, dedication, and just persistence. I mean, if I ran a seminar, I would try to teach certain things that people don't teach all the time.
Yeah, right. We talked at the beginning with the social media, and I think that you would be great at that. And I think a lot of people could pick up on that, because, like I said, I've talked to a number of people who don't even. No, I don't have a Twitter. I don't do this. I'm not on there.
They don't care. I don't get it. It pisses me off when people say that, honestly, because I take it very serious. Pro wrestling, and then if you're a pro wrestler and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I want this, man, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, because those are the first guys to bitch about something else. First guys or girls to bitch about something else. Where I don't enjoy, per se, being on social media all the time, but it's a necessary. You got to do it, because I don't enjoy seeing all the negativity. I'm not saying I don't enjoy promoting brands like yourself and doing what I do, but if it's just scrolling through social media, you'll ruin your day, because you're comparing your real life with everybody else's perception of what their life is. And when everybody's a little depressed in the pandemic, it's just, you can't do it. It'll bring you down. It'll bring you down. But there's guys like you that'll bring me up.
A lot of people tell me that. They say, Icon, you're very inspirational, and I look forward to you making the post or putting the gym post out there, things that I do when I work out. And I take that and I run with it. It inspires me to keep going. So people help me, and I hope I help them.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about working out.
Thing. Yeah.
It is. When you're working out at home and guys are, hey, the gym is shut down, or I can't get to the gym. There's things that we can do. Icon Lee's doing them.
Yeah. Follow your icon.
Follow your icon. In your young career, can you tell me? And this is like asking who's your favorite. A couple of these questions here are gonna suck, because they're gonna be like asking who your favorite kid is or who your favorite puppy dog is. But can you give me what's some of the best advice that you've received in the business so far?
Oh, Icon, just keep doing you. Because in the beginning, I had a lot of heat with my social media, because I would, like I said, I'll call out anybody if I feel like they need to be called out. But, younger, as a young wrestler, people know that you're a young wrestler. So you got to kind of prove yourself that you're actually, in it for the long run, not just, there to get attention or whatever. So I would get a lot of heat. A lot of guys would DM me that are vets in the business. But with me, it was very different, because I had people who didn't understand me, and then I'd have the Alex Zanes of the world who did understand, those type of people. And then I'd have them tell me, you're fine, you're good, keep going. And I'd have another person tell me, oh, you got to take this down, you got to do that. And so, I never took it down. I don't take anything down. That's weakness. So, but over time, everyone kind of understands what's going on over here. So, I got a lot of advice from certain people. Larry Jones is a good person. He gives me a lot of good advice. Roger Ruffin, Pillman Jr., Alex Zane. I get a lot of advice. My peers give me a lot of advice.
Some great names.
They are great wrestlers, great people.
Great wrestlers. So here's another. I'm going to do two more questions here that are going to be tough to answer. If you had to make a Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, now there's going to be 4 people on that Mount Rushmore. You're going to leave a lot more off on that that you'll want to put on there. So I don't want anybody to be offended when I ask these questions, just knowing that I'm going to preface it for you. You're being put on the spot here. So can you come up with 4 names that you would put on that all time? Of course, Icon Lee is on a mountain himself, but let's pick 4 guys.
In my own domain.
Your own domain.
Damn right. Well, of course, The Undertaker. I think he's on everyone's Mount Rushmore. Brock Lesnar, he's good. He's a genius. I'd have to say Randy Orton. I'm very inspired by Randy Orton. I don't mention that I'm inspired by him, but I don't have to mention everybody. But he's definitely on there. And the final one, right? Final one.
It's always the toughest one.
Maybe it should be a female wrestler, right? Let me think of that. Stephanie McMahon. Heel Stephanie McMahon. When she's her true self. True hero, Stephanie.
I got to tell you, we talked off camera about people that I said, hey, some of the nicest guys in the business. I met Stephanie in Manhattan. I was doing a show for ESPN. We were at the sports business conference, and I went and talked to her about some things we were doing. And I was not expecting her to be as nice as she was. Super like, hey, how can we help you? What can we do? Take my card, take this. And that's my hat's always off to Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah. Brilliant leadership. Brilliant.
Yeah. Because people, like I said, I get, and I'm going to take heat for this. But everybody in this pandemic has started a podcast, and everybody just sees what they see on TV and doesn't have any background to it. And like I said, well, armchair quarterback, this sucks, that sucks, and I just get sick of it.
I was really impressed with Stephanie McMahon's WrestleMania 32 speech before Triple H came out. That really inspired me.
Yeah. I'm trying to
You'd have to go back and watch it. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
You watched speaking of, we're coming up on WrestleMania season. I'm going to get to my last ridiculous question, but as they come to me, this is why my podcast is not rated number 27 in Zimbabwe, because I'm competing with these guys that are either coming out of their mom's basement and being controversial, or these guys that are actually like, hey, I'm a journalist and I'm just a guy. But the Hall of Fame, is that something? I love watching the Hall of Fame and love watching those speeches. There have been a lot of inspirational speeches. Bret Hart's comes to mind, but have you seen a Hall of Fame, a speech that's kind of stuck with you, resonated?
I've watched a bunch. I've watched about, I would say, 5 Hall of Fames. Like, I have them playing in the background. They're really long, but let's see, last year. What's his name?
Pressure journalism here.
Speaking of Hall of Fame, Kane just got inducted, right?
I believe so. Kane or Kylie, one of them I just saw come across. I was trying not to look at my phone while we're doing it, but yeah, I think it was Kane. He's got to be a guy.
I think The Undertaker should induct him. I don't know who's inducting him, but I do believe The Undertaker should induct his brother into the Hall of Fame. I'm sure his speech, whenever Mayor Kane speaks, it'll be brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look this up now. I'm not trying to be rude while you're.
No, I'm still thinking about
Kane is definitely. There's an article by Wrestling Inc. right now that says Kane on if The Undertaker will induct him in the Hall of Fame.
Really? The Undertaker's inducting him. Oh, that's
well. He said this is Kane on if. I don't know if they.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they get to choose. You know what I mean? So I've read some people have. Well, they might get to choose to a certain extent. I read a lot of people. Some people had wanted like a Jim Cornette, even though he did do the Rock and Roll Express, and it was just kind of a no by WWE. So we'll have to look that up. But anyway, I suggest, and you don't have to come up with one, but I highly suggest Bret Hart is a great one to watch. Not in New York when it was the Hart Foundation, but his individual one was one. And another one that stuck out to me, and it's not just because I'm a Wisconsin guy, but Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, of all people, I thought had a great speech at the Hall of Fame. So one of those, if you're looking for an inspiration, a lot of times that Hall of Fame.
Is it Stan Hansen? Is that his name? Right?
Stan Hansen, right? Yeah, the Lariat, former AWA.
Okay, cool. Yeah, with the clothesline. I watched his. His was good. I had to think of the name. I didn't really want to pronounce the name wrong because I'm not that old, but I did do my research on him, and I know he has a killer clothesline. And I did end up, when I was about 2 years ago, I saw his inductee. I think it was about 2 years ago, and that was good. It was a good speech.
Yeah, he's a guy. One of the stories behind his clothesline is he's blind as a bat, so he would just freaking come. Back in the day, they weren't gonna accidentally miss you. They're gonna make sure they really hit you. So they Stan used to wallop the shit out of people. So
That's how it's got to be today. Knock their damn heads off.
yeah.
Off with the peasant's head, right?
And now speaking of, and now I'm going off on a tangent here, and I want to be respectful of your time, but even today, a lot of people, injuries happen in the ring, mistakes do happen. But speaking of social media, I want to see people get on social media and go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I heard him. So what? Instead of going, hey, behind the scenes, by all means, make sure you're checking on boys. But freaking sell it. It happened in front of fans, in front of the world. Go with it.
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage.
It keeps our sport legitimized, It happens. I've been hurt. I recover.
Right.
You recover fast if you're good. Just get in the gym. Ice. Do the right thing. The things about getting hurt is that if you just get hurt and you don't care, and you just sit and you don't try to rehab. I'm inspired by John Cena because when I was young, what was the story with Cena? He'd get hurt and he'd come back super fast. That's not because it was just some myth. It's because John would get right back to rehabbing. He'd get back in the gym. He'd do something light. He'd move his arm barely until it got strong. But if you don't do those steps, if you don't try to do those steps, you're never going to heal. So by all means, if you hurt somebody on accident or whatever happens in the ring, go ahead and call that crap out, call it out, say that you whooped their ass, and it's up to them to come back stronger than ever, or else they're just a weak peasant. That's how I look at it.
That's another name.
Maybe that's a mean way to look at it.
That's an icon way to look at it. I like it. I like it. No, he couldn't be people. That's the other thing. People that take shots at Cena. I'm like, man, I've never seen a guy more positive for the business. That, they put the title on him. Yeah, because they trust him to take the ball and run, and he does a great job with it. Small story meeting John Cena at Manhattan at another sports business thing. We're talking, and I said, hey, is it cool if I get a picture? And so I put my hand on his shoulder, and it was like touching a block of granite. That's a guy who doesn't skip the gym, man. Dude, it was like concrete. So I like it. So here's where I'm going to. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. You know why I wear this occasionally?
No.
I wear this occasionally because it represents a metaphor of blocking out the sheep and the peasants that distract me from my goals and my journey. Just kind of like how Magneto wore his, because it blocked out the mental attacks from Charles Xavier. So when you see me wear this, that's the metaphor behind it. I don't like to wear things for no reason. I just thought it would be wise for me to put that out there, since a lot of my sheep see me wear this and they want to know why. But that's why. It's to keep out the peasants and to stay focused.
That's awesome. Let me give you an opportunity. Is there any other, what's something about you that you want the peasants to know that maybe they don't know besides that?
I mean, I'm wearing Gengar right here. So I used to wear Gengar all the time when you were in Warrior. I was a little different. I mentioned that. But before the mask and the darkness and everything that I've become in the last 5 months, I was more catering towards the sheep. I would take pictures with the sheep. I would wear my Dubai Vibes chain, which was a Cuban link chain, which is very nice. I recently gave that chain to my second protege, Chris Demise, to help him in his career. But I don't wear this anymore. But the thing about Gengar is that Gengar traveled with me everywhere. Traveled with me to Chicago. He traveled with me to Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. And this guy right here really helped me stay focused. And it's also the reason I think why Kylie Ray punched me in the face at Warrior Wrestling. I would taunt her. I'd say, your little Pikachu gear or whatever you're doing over there is nothing compared to my Gengar chain. I don't think she liked that very much. But yeah, that's the thing about that. I'm inspired by a lot of things. So, and Gengar obviously is a true hero in that world.
Now, they recently announced, Warrior Wrestling Women's Champion, Kylie Ray.
Exactly.
Return. How awesome is that, knowing that she was, we almost lost her. I thought maybe she wasn't going to come back.
No.
Struggling.
She's a champion. The interviewer on the podcast yesterday, they said, well, do you think she's going to be in shape and ring shape and everything? I said, well, she's the Warrior champion. A warrior is always going to be ready. So I think when she got the call, she just decided that she has to defend that championship because she's a warrior. And being a warrior it calls for a lot of things. And, when it comes time to step up, she's doing that just now. She's doing that good. So I'm proud of her for stepping up and coming back and defending her championship, which I'm pretty sure, hopefully she's victorious, right?
I'm very happy. That's going to be an awesome match. Thunder Rosa, who's another one of my favorites, in Kylie Ray. It's one of those where I don't want to pick a winner. I just want to sit in my seat and maybe have some popcorn and just enjoy it.
Or some pizza. You're in Chicago.
Or some pizza. Might as well have some
Uno pizza.
This is my final question of that's gonna really kind of ruin you for picking people out. But when it's all said and done, and I know Icon Lee doesn't steer away from anybody, but are there certain people that would be on like an Icon Lee bucket list that I want to, before it's all said and done, it'd be really cool to get in the ring? Could be a legend, could be somebody on TV, could be anybody. This is where I feel like this is tough, because you're going to leave a lot of people out, because I know there's a lot of people that you want to be in the ring with. But is there a couple names that stick out that, like, you know what, I haven't been in the ring with them, but I want to get in there before it's all said and done?
Okay. I definitely want to get in the ring with Brian Pillman. I think we owe the Sheep that, after what we've done, and I kicked his ass in his own home, so that would be fun to do. A dream match would be obviously against Bray Wyatt. I think me and him would have a very cool chemistry. I think it's a little too far to say the Undertaker. And I'd like to step in the ring with Alex Zane, perhaps. That would be cool. He's given me a lot of influence. I think it's only fair to have a match with him to see if I'm ready and prove myself against someone at the caliber as he is. Trey Miguel, Warrior Champion, Impact Wrestler. I think that would be interesting. Smack him in the face. Warhorse. I think that would be a brilliant story. We'd have to do something special with that. Beastman, Jericho, right? AEW, anyone, Darby Allin. A lot of people that, take their craft serious. That's who I'd want to step into the ring with.
That's the cool thing about AEW when they have that dark, is they give a lot of opportunities out, I feel.
Yeah.
Where they are dream matches, where somebody who's not on TV week to week gets that opportunity to get on there, and that's what I love about it. So, out of respect for your time, my final question is my most important question that I can ask you, Icon Lee. The fans want to know. We talked about social media. Where can they follow Icon Lee on social media? Where can I buy some Icon Lee merch? And also, we didn't talk about April 3rd, so I want to get you a chance to kind of.
I can't talk about April 3rd.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, you can't. All right.
I can't talk about it because it's going to be a surprise, so I can't talk about that yet.
Well, then we got to stay tuned to your social medias to figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
So
yes,
you can
sir.
drop them for us. I appreciate your time, and like I say,
appreciate you having me on here. This was a good opportunity, and I hope I took advantage of it, and I did you a good service.
You did, and I would beg of the Icon that perhaps a few months down the road, now that we got the hey, how was your beginnings, that we can get into another conversation and talk about current events and just go a little bit deeper.
Exactly. But you can also buy my merchandise at our good friends at ProWrestlingTees.com. Simply type in Icon Lee. I have 4 shirts available. I have Icon's history. It has all the words that I've ever created, from Sheep, the Protege, Icon's Lift, My Domain, all that. It's just basically listing every word that I've ever said on a shirt. I got my Icon Shit shirt, which basically means it's Icon shit. It's mine. I own it. It's like my little my name that I say. I have my Icon Dark shirt, and I just recently put out a new shirt, We All Purge, and that's available now. It's a double side. On the back it says Icon Rise. So you can do that, and then you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Icon Lee. Just type in Icon and Lee, and I should pop up. And subscribe to my YouTube, Icon Lee. So it's very simple, just my name. and
I
I'm
didn't know if you had
rising, man.
underscores or anything in there, and we'll obviously share
You
them on
don't,
this video.
Instagram, it's an underscore for Instagram, but at this point you don't have to, you can just type an icon, Lee. I guess I've earned enough followers to where I'm just first when you type in my name. So
That's awesome. And I got to get you on TikTok. I started TikTok
yeah,
just to follow wrestling travel, and my
yeah,
TikTok has blown up. So
yeah. TikTok is easy. It's easy to get out there. I think it's because it's all around the world and like everyone's always on it. Instagram's okay. I have a method of how I grow my followers on Instagram. Like I'll wait for a person to make a post and I'll go ahead and collect all the sheep. And because I put a lot of work in, when they see my Instagram, they follow me back. And then of course I can unfollow them because I don't have time to follow thousands of sheep. I'm their icon, but they stick around because they want to see what their icon has to do and has to give them. So you can follow me there, and YouTube, subscribe.
absolutely. Yeah, it's tough to build some of those brands. YouTube, I know, is tough. Twitter, we talked about, but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely an honor. As you would say, it's my honor to have you on the show with Wrestling Travel. So we cannot wait to get this out to the masses.
I'm looking forward to traveling around the world, man.
Got to get you out there. We got to get you. Anything Wrestling Travel can do to help the icon out, it's
Any
our
ring
pleasure.
is my domain. Just remember that. Any ring. When I step into it, it becomes my domain.
Final words from the icon.